Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin Verhey from Wizards of the Coast. GenCon is one of my favorite shows every year. It's a convention full of people playing games of all sorts. And this year, well, we can't meet up in person, but there's still a GenCon Online that's happening. And of course, with GenCon comes Magic. So we worked with Pastimes, who normally runs Magic events at GenCon, to set up a schedule for GenCon Online. And there's gonna be all kinds of great stuff. You can play Commander around the clock on Spell Table. For Magic Arena, there's gonna be a championship. But one of the real highlights to me are these amazing Magic Online accounts. Now, we've never done anything like this before. You'll be able to get an account that has 4 copies of pretty much everything you could want to use to play with. And this is a really cool chance to get to play with some Legacy or Vintage decks you wouldn't normally have the opportunity to. Legacy has always been one of my favorite formats, but it can be a little daunting to get into. I mean, almost everything is legal and there are so many decks to choose from. And if you walk in playing, say, a Storm deck for your first ever Legacy tournament, you're probably gonna have a bad time. That deck is hard to play. So I thought for today, how about I cover 3 Legacy decks that are pretty easy to pick up and play. Number 1. Green-Black Depths. This deck revolves around the card Dark Depths, and while it might look like it's going to take a very long time to break out Marit Lage, you can do it really fast with either Vampire Hexmage or Thespian Stage. Any one of those along with the Dark Depths creates an instant 20/20 for you. You can set up with cards like Thoughtseize to make sure they don't have any disruption, or even use Not of This World to protect Marit Lage in case they're holding on to a Swords to Plowshares or Path to Exile. So do you just have to draw those 2 cards naturally? Well, you can, but this is Legacy. We've got all kinds of tutoring for you, including crop rotation as a big one to find whatever land you need. This deck's a great pick because while it is a combo deck, it also isn't one that requires a ton of expertise to play. I mean, yes, to play it perfectly, you have to play it quite a bit, but to pick it up and play, you kind of get what's going on right away. Find these 2 cards and then kill your opponent with a 20/20. Easy enough. Number 2, Mono White Death and Taxes. As someone who once borrowed this deck from Pleasant Kenobi, I am contract bound to mention it in this Legacy video. How does this deck work? Well, you're a white beatdown deck, but your cards all help nullify your opponent's cards. It uses things like Thalia to make your opponent's spells cost more, Good Luck Storm, Phyrexian Revoker to shut down any activated abilities, and you can even go search for one of Sanctum Prelate in this case to shut down whatever mana cost is causing you trouble. And all while you're stopping your opponent, you're casting cards like Stoneforge Mystic to find awesome equipment, using Mother of Runes to protect your creatures, or even becoming the Monarch with Palace Jailer. So even if you're not sure exactly what your opponent is doing, you probably have an out to it in your deck somewhere. Number 3, Ninjas. As a big fan of Kamigawa and the designer behind Yuriko the Tiger Shadow, this deck fits my bill perfectly. It's got all kinds of cards you wouldn't expect to get played in Legacy, like say Changeling Outcast, but you put a creature down early, attack, and then bam! And as you're drawing these cards and maybe even dealing damage to your opponent, you're finding all kinds of counter spells like say Force of Will or even Drown in the Loch, while disrupting your opponent's hand with cards like Thoughtseize. You can even use Brainstorm to put Force of Will back on top of your library, so Yuriko flips it, makes them take 5. I'll put a deck list for each of these in the description below. So download Magic Online and have a great time at GenCon Online this weekend. I'll be there myself doing Commander on Spell Table as well as playing a little bit on Magic Online, and hope to see you there. I'll talk with you again on Friday, and in the meantime, may you find a fun deck to play in Legacy. You got this.